That's way, way bright, isn't it? How do I change that? Maybe I'll just turn this off. There we go. See if anybody jumps in. Oh, wow, we have people. This is cool. Yes, we are live. I hope everybody's all right. I hope you're all staying safe. I hope if you're quarantined or you're social distancing that you're not getting cabin fever just yet, but I hope you're doing the right thing, whatever that is. I got some new coffee today. It's really good. Miguel Gutierrez talks about the melodic minor. Cool. Let's make that the first thing we talk about. So, if you guys don't know what the melodic minor scale is, let's talk about what it is. And you just scratch your eye, so I was seeing hell. Hey, me too. Me too. All right, if you know the natural minor scale, then one thing you can do to the natural minor scale is to raise the 7th degree and return it to a natural 7th. That gives you the harmonic minor scale. So that's very handy because that lets you generate a dominant chord from the 5th note. So you would have, I mean, your first triad, say minor, but then your 5th triad would be E major. In fact, you could extend that and make it E dominant 7. So you get this. You get that lovely 5-1 dominant 7-1 cadence thing. Two ways to think about the melodic minor. You can think about it as a major scale with a minor third. And that to me doesn't make a lot of sense because it's no longer a major scale, and saying a major scale with a minor third is just kind of dumb and confusing. So the way I like to think about melodic minor is if we took the natural minor, the Aeolian mode, and we raised the 7th degree, why don't we do that with one of the other minor modes? Like Dorian. I like Dorian. We could kind of do the same, I guess, tweak where we, instead of playing so it gets you that, but function is very important with this kind of stuff. And if you think about why you would want this, it's a very similar reason to why we wanted it with the natural minor. We want that 5 chord. All that kind of good stuff in there. We want that 5, that cadence in there, and this is a way to do that. So one way I like to think about using melodic minor would be, I'll show you a chord progression that it works nicely over. A typical Dorian thing would be like A minor, D7. There's my drive. I was on the wrong pickup. So you have that. If you wanted to have a progression with a like an E7 as a 5 chord, I would substitute melodic minor over the 5 chord. So you play Dorian for the rest of it, and the melodic minor is this little treat that you sprinkle on at the end. So the chord progression. And so with that 5 chord, that's a really, really nice way to use it for something that I guess isn't jazz. You know, if you're a blues guy or you're a rock guy, that's a really accessible way to get that sound. So it's over that. And you're back to the normal, good old-fashioned Dorian. So that's one way to think about it. The melodic minor, though, is super duper powerful if you use one of its modes. I'm not keeping up with the chat at the moment. Let's see, where are we at? Who's in? I hope you guys are enjoying my rambling about the melodic minor mode. Play bass now. Great career move, Todd's Tropicals. Just wingering it. That's great. Cool. So there's some people in here. Yeah, this is a nice strat. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. So, the really cool thing about the melodic minor mode is if you take its 7th mode, you end up with a series of intervals, which kind of cool. In fact, kind of cool is understating it. It's kind of like the sound of modern jazz and fusion and a lot of stuff. If we looked at the intervallic structure of melodic minor and we started from the start, we've got, it's like the Dorian mode, right? Tone, semitone, tone, 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 tone. So that's an interesting bit. A lot of tones in a row, that gives you that augmented or whole tone kind of thing. So there's a little bit of that in there. And then we get back to semitone. So if we started on the 7th note and we rearranged everything, we take mode 7, we get something called the altered scale, or some people like to call this the super Locrian scale. So normally we shift our thinking back, you know, like I said, one way to think about melodic minor is as a major scale with a minor third. The 7th mode of the major scale is the Locrian mode. And if we did this in, I guess, let's do it in A. So Locrian, A Locrian would look like this. So you have that. But A super Locrian or A altered, the 4th degree here is lower. So you have this, and this is mode 7 of melodic minor. Now, the reason this is cool, and this is, stay with me, is that if we look at the intervals, 1, flat 2, flat 3, flat 4, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7, root, everything in the altered scale, or super Locrian, or melodic minor mode 7, except for the root note, is a flattened interval. So, a large part of, I guess, playing outside or, you know, playing over modern jazz stuff is playing over altered dominant chords. So if you know what a dominant chord is, it's a 7 chord, like A7. And a common alteration to that might be to play an A7, but with the 5 flattened, this chord. And the idea with this is, you know, a lot of the time a 5 chord, a 7 chord like this functions as the 5. So, you know, we were talking before about having movement where we have the 5 chord back to the 1 chord. So that 5 chord, that's a point of musical tension. You can stack up horrendous sounding notes on that and stack up stank on it, because the stankier that sounds, the more satisfying it is to return back. So something like, you know, a dominant 7 flat 5 really, really adds to the stank. That, or you could do a dominant 7 sharp 5, dominant 7 flat 5, dominant 7 sharp 5, and because it's A, this is a 5 chord, I'm resolving it to D at the moment. So the idea, the very long roundabout thing, is that the altered scale is cool because if you play it over a dominant chord or an altered dominant chord, every single note that you're playing is flat something, which is cool because that gives you it gives you that all those altered tonalities straight away without having to think, which is kind of cool. So that probably explains a lot of fusion as well, why you're listening to stuff and you're like, that's a weird chord. Why are they playing over it so much? It's probably just a 7 chord or maybe a 7 sharp 5 or a 7 flat 5. But by adding the flat second, the flat third, the flat fourth, all of these kind of things, we're implying richer harmony in there. So that's one way to think about Superlocrian and melodic minor. And I'll put this into context for all of you guys because there's a cool little run. Say we took a standard jazz kind of thing, like a D minor 7, G7, C major 7, and I want to get back to D minor 7. So a good way to get back to anywhere you want is to go, here's my chord, I want to get back to D minor 7, put a dominant or an altered dominant cadence before it. So D minor 7, its dominant chord will be A7. So A7 is the last chord. So that little progression is. And we could make this, just for argument's sake, let's make this chord here. We'll make it a dominant 7 with a sharp 5, so an altered dominant. And there's a cool little melodic minor run we can do over that. You know, if you were playing over this. We're going to save that altered thing to play over this chord. So I would play, and I'm not a jazz player, but over, say, D minor 7, just the first 3 chords, C major or D Dorian or any of those equivalent scales. You know, then this chord, we'll throw in this little altered line right there. This contrast is killing me as well. Maybe I don't need my lights on. I apologize about that, dudes. Hopefully you can actually see the guitar neck now and where I am. So. And then you can either resolve it to C, which is the 7th. So that's a cool little altered thing that, and I mean, that sounds kind of classic there. It doesn't sound weird going. Pretty sweet, right? So that, I like the melodic minor not for the melodic minor itself, but for its 7th mode, the altered scale. And most people love the altered scale. So this is the Axe FX 3. So I've got my, show you guys really quick. I have my Axe FX 3 on my desk now with, so this is like the recording rig basically, and demoing rig. So I have that there. I got this thing, which is really, really cool that I'm doing a demo of at the moment. And then the FM3 is, well, it's down there because I've been playing around with it with the FC controllers for video and for live performance. So that's staying on the floor. I'll do some stuff with that, maybe in another live stream. But yeah, there you go. How not to play rock guitar, how not to use the altered scale. And this sounds cool with distortion. You know, if you want to really get into your kind of, this is not the patch I want. Here we go, this one. You know, if you were playing over metal in E, for example, taking the altered scale sounds pretty metal, in my opinion. You get this. I always think of like sort of early to mid 90s kind of thrashy stuff, like think of Cynic, and things like that. Yeah, it's actually a 4-track tape recorder, an old Tascam. That was the thing that I did my first set of recordings on. I actually found a tape of me practicing, and it's so shockingly bad. But anyway, altered scale, if you're playing over that kind of thing in E, there's actually it's kind of charming after a little while. And another cool thing about the melodic minor is the way it's used in classical music as well, where you ascend with it and you descend with the minor scale. I put up a video like transposing or reharmonizing the Australian national anthem in a minor key. I think it's on my Facebook page and Instagram, but yeah, it made sense in a couple of those sections to use notes from the melodic minor because the original melody is using the major scale. So just changing that one note to a minor and playing melodic minor instead is cool. The pickups sound like HS3. I think you're correct. I have never checked to see if these are HS3s or YJMs or whatever, but they sound good. Let's see. I see you use chords for your acts. Have you ever used a wireless? Yes. Where is that little thing? I have one of these. It's kind of cool. What is this? This is the transmitter. So made by NewX. Tiny little thing. I've used this a little bit. And it's cool. I don't have like a high-end pro wireless. What was the company who were it ended up being the Line 6 X2. I've probably still got that somewhere. The X2 wireless, and I used that for a while when I started gigging. This is like 10 years ago or more, and I really liked it. But we did one gig where I used it, and for whatever reason, it was just cutting out really bad in this venue. So I ended up using a cable, and I had one of those like moments where I was like, okay, I'm just going to use a long cable from now on. So yeah, they sound like pickups to me. Exactly. I think Ingve's using Duncan's now, which is kind of weird because I just associate him with those old Damasio ads from the late 80s. I'm using the XFX3. Do you guys want me to use the FM3? Do you want to hear some of that? This isn't running direct anyway. This is just my phone picking up the studio monitors. So the Sony DWZ, cool. Oh, Nady, they will, yeah. Did they make the headset mics as well? Because we were giving Wing a shit about that when we played with him the other night. Hey. Every gent demo has to have a section which goes, playing the seconds like that. Ah, cool. Netty Stands, welcome to the chat. Got any questions? This guitar is weird because for all of Ingve's infamy at being a speed demon, this thing really, I find hard to rip on. I really like just kind of, it's like having training wheels on or something. Like, you just want to sit there and go. That's another good section of how not to play rock guitar. Your vibrato. I'm working on vibrato. Like, I feel like I spend so much time now sitting on a guitar and going. And, you know, like experimenting with all the different tiny little idiosyncrasies you can generate with vibrato. So that's, I find if I'm focusing on those things, and I enjoy playing. So play Pull Me Under, Winger. You know, I watched a video of them doing it with a bass player from, no, it was Download or something a few years ago, and they had the bass player from Dillinger Escape Plan play Madeline with them. That was pretty cool. I totally agree that I don't necessarily think there's bad vibrato, but there is vibrato which is unmusical. Maybe that's bad. Maybe that's what we all mean with bad, like something that doesn't work. And I always think of somebody, you know, like the first couple of Mahavishnu Orchestra albums, like John McLaughlin's amazing and great, but it's got this really strange vibrato. It took me a long time to get used to it. You know that. It's like he's going for it, but it's very jarring. I think his vibrato got a lot better. Good old nervous vibrato. We got Raffers in the chat, so ask him some questions as well. Yeah, Sykes is somebody I love his vibrato. Ingve as well, really, really good. Satriani is very, very interesting. He's interesting because, you know, he talks about liking small frets and feeling the fretboard when he's playing and stuff like that. It's kind of cool. Anyway, nervous vibrato. You know, guitar shop vibrato. That kind of thing. That's me when I'm 15 playing. I always remember there was a Jackson guitar with a sustainer, and like being in a music shop and being like, this is my time to shine. And there were all these older guys. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna knock these guys dead. Check it out. And I was just like way too much coffee vibrato, you know. One thing that I get all my students to practice if they're working on developing vibrato is I tell them to just wait a beat before they do it. So rather than do this, it's like, okay, the song's going 1, 2, 3, 4, and then give it a bit of vibrato. Like let the note stay, and as it starts to die out, then you can add it. Then try do that, but then immediately do one where you start straight away. So. Having that control, I think, is a really cool way to do it. And you know, you have those. How many guitars did you take to the last show? Finger wiggle vibrato or string bendy vibrato? Yeah, so there's a side to side thing people do, the like classical style, which you can make really extreme. Or you can press down on this guitar. There's a lot of different ways to do it. You know, you always go. I think I like pulling down because I like all those rock guys from the 80s. way you bend up to a note, like, think of the difference between Ingve and David Gilmour, yeah, Lynch is the guy I always think of. Thanks for mentioning that with the side to side stuff. He's amazing at it. But the Gilmour thing, or the Ingve thing, or the Zach thing. It's kind of like it really is a preference in some ways, but I also think it does have a musical kind of thing. Like, think of Parisian Walkways, right? The way Gary Moore plays that. This didn't make sense to me. I was like, why does vibrato sound so different in that song, And it wasn't until years later that I was like, hang on, it's Parisian Walkways. He's probably trying to make his guitar sound like Edith Piaf's voice. She had that really rapid vibrato. And when you listen to Parisian Walkways, you're like, he's trying to make the guitar sound like a voice. It suddenly makes so much sense. There's a Jeff Beck song called Nadia as well, where his vibrato on that is just the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard in your life. It's so vocal and so human sounding. So, yeah, vibrato it's the human element. I think ultimately, well, in my opinion, like, vocal music is where human music comes from, and it's all like the pinnacle, and singers and good singers who have these kind of things that are always kind of the things to try and emulate. Literally, how many times you've heard, mate, that guy makes a guitar sing. That's what you're trying to do. So a lot of the time, if you listen to singers and listen to how they use vibrato, you can try and copy that on your guitar. Oh yeah, I forget who said it, but it was someone in the comments. They referred to the 80s as the Olympic era of guitar playing. Yeah. Does it hurt the skin underneath your nails bending up? No. My nails are quite short. Everybody's always like, why do you chew your nails? The reason I keep them so short has nothing to do with playing guitar. It has to do with the fact that I compulsively scratch my skin in my sleep. And I can't control that because I'm asleep. And if my nails are too long or too sharp, I look like I've been attacked by a pack of mangy cats. So I keep them really short for that reason. One downside is I can never use my nails when I'm finger picking or anything like that. But I like using my flesh there anyway. So for this, I've been washing my hands a lot more than usual, as I'm sure we all have. So my calluses are kind of soft at the moment. How truly bad is the Marshall TSL? I don't think it's truly bad, but I think it's like depressingly okay for a Marshall. Because everybody always goes, I'm a Marshall amp. Like, it's fine, and I've heard people make theirs sound great. It's not the amp for me. I much prefer the DSLs. The DSLs work for what I like. I prefer the way they sound. It's a preference in that case. There's a bunch of things with the TSL that just kind of don't hit the spot for me. Whether mine sucks or whether it sucks, I don't know. There's definitely some people out there who love theirs and get some great sounds out of it. And if you love yours and you get some great sounds out of it, that's all that matters. This is a just a little bit of 3M stuff so that I can mount a Fishman makes something called the TriplePlay, so I can mount the TriplePlay pickup on there when I want to do that thing. So that's what that is there for. It kind of looks weird, I know. Yeah, tools for a job. Like I said, I prefer the 2000. Like, I've got a video comparing it to the JCM 800, and it stacks up pretty darn good in my opinion. Really impressed by a drummer on the latest vids of your recent tour. He's pretty good, isn't he? Flies under the radar, old Cam, but he keeps it together. Without that guy, we would not be doing what we're doing. To me, anytime anybody says anything nice about me when they see the show, I'm like, man, it's easy for me because you have Cam up there who's such a ridiculously tight and together drummer, and then you have Ryan who is just a monster, you know, once in a generation kind of voice. So I'm just up there playing my guitar, stoked to be on stage with those guys. Like I mean that because it's true. That's why the band sounds good, not because of anything I do. Is that a Highway 1? No, this is an Ingve signature neck, and it's on a Warmouth Mary Kay White Swamp Ash body, because I bought the neck and the harness from somebody who had an Ingve Strat, and they changed the neck and the pickups on the Ingve Strat. So yeah, kind of crazy, but yeah, this is why it kind of looks weird for an Ingve. Can you output with a 1/4-inch guitar cable? So the FM3 has 2 outputs. There is a set of XLR outputs on output 1, and then you also have a second output which you can assign any way you like. I'm sure you could also run an XLR to TRS cable if you wanted to do that as well. Just have like a little converter if you wanted to do 4 cable method. So that'd work just fine. I think. I haven't tested it yet. So got a Mesa F50 sitting in the closet. They were cool. I like your PRS metal tone better. Yeah, this is not the metal tone guitar. This is I picked this guitar up first because it kicks my ass. It's hard to play compared to the other guitars, and it keeps me honest. So maybe I should get the PRS. Let's have some fun. All right, now we can go to the happy place. Yeah, this guitar is ridiculous. It's I took it. So somebody asked about how many guitars we took for the tour. I took this guitar. I haven't even changed the strings. I changed the strings before the first show, and what did we do? 10 days, 11 days, and still got the same strings on. So it's running just fine. Elixir NanoWeb 10 to 52, because I know some people are going to ask about that. Yeah, this is the guitar, man. Like for me, it's the first time I've taken it on the road since I think like 2014, where we did 20 odd dates in the States, and I bought this guitar that year, and then I used it for all the shows. And then because I like the way it sounds recorded so much, I've only played it locally for shows we do here, and obviously on like every single YouTube video and for all the Ragdoll recordings. And I was hesitant to fly it in its case, so we bought an Enki dual guitar and bass case, like a wicked flight case, and it went in there with Ryan's bass. So 1 guitar, 1 bass. Did the whole tour. It was fine. I would love a Sir. What is the green one? Yeah, you're in a really dark area. Now the sun's gone down. Let's put the lights on. Sorry, dudes. There we go. Hopefully this works. Hopefully this works a little bit better. All right. Because I'm streaming from my phone, I've got the chat open on my computer. I'm behind. I need to catch up with it. Hopefully this looks okay. All right, it looks like we're catching up. Jay Williams, welcome to the chat. Should probably tune my guitar. That's sometimes a recommended thing. Here we go. I haven't cut my hair either. I just have it tied up. For anybody wondering, over my dead body, I washed it last night. I washed all the tour out of it. Okay, there we go. Yes, I normally do stream with OBS, but I have just moved over to a new computer and I haven't installed it yet. So I want to do a live thing and, like default, I was like, I'll dial up OBS and don't have it on there yet. So the next stream, I want to do a bunch of live streams, just because of the, I guess global situation at the moment. It's a nice way to chat to a lot of people while still social distancing. So Tyler Britton, hey man, I heard about a thing coming up. Tyler Britton, sure you know about it. Talk to you about it more. Yeah, man, this is I don't know if it's because I dial all my stuff in with this guitar or it just works, but yeah, it's a special guitar for me. I sound the most like me when I play this guitar, so uh, you look like you're 8 foot tall. Yeah, not far off. Everyone who there was a bunch of people who follow the channel who came down to shows, and I did the clinic as well, and everyone was like, "Whoa, you're like a lot taller than I expected you to be." So I'm about 185, 186 centimeters. So what's that, like 6'2"? And then Cam is about, I can't remember if we're like equally staggered in the band. So I think Cam's probably about, he's either 180 or 175. If he's 180, then Ryan's 175. If he's 175, then Ryan's 165. I don't think Ryan's that short. So yeah, that's why I look like a giant next to some people. I'm not really that big. The STR, yeah, I need to put some new strings on that. What do you think about horn keys? Hey, that's a really good question. Thanks for bringing that up. 175. I thought so. You're not 165, are you, Rafferty? But it was interesting. I think it was Tondi said, he's like, yeah, Kip Winger looks like one of those guys who is he looks taller than he is in photos because Troy's standing next to him. Troy was a lot taller. So thank you, Bob. I appreciate your appreciation. So yeah, we're like staggered by 5 centimeters. So it kind of works because Cam's on a drum riser and then Ryan's at the front of the stage singing and playing his bass. So I try to take a few steps back. So hopefully all our heads are at a similar level. How tall is Paul Gilbert? I'm interested to know. I think he's a tall guy. Let's look this up. Paul Gilbert stats. Paul Gilbert height. Because wow, he's a tall guy. 1.93. Billy Sheehan is about my height. Steve Vai is, yeah, that kind of makes sense. A little bit shorter. So yeah, we did it. Yeah, Paul Gilbert is 8 feet tall. He plays like he's 80 feet tall. What IRs can you recommend? If you don't want to pay any money for IRs, do you want some of mine? Because I have them in this Dropbox folder and I will put the link in the video description. So they would be, there's only a few of them, but you can get these. Let's hit this. Let's share this link for the people. Why is that not working? Because I'm not in Dropbox. Anyway, I have shared them. I think on the Fractal forum, you can go and grab a couple of them. Paul Gilbert's fingers are 6 feet. Yeah, we did a gig, first show in Europe. We played this festival in Switzerland, beautiful place, and there was this there was this Swiss guy there. He couldn't speak any English, and he was on my side of the stage, just like there's this giant stage as well, totally overkill, but super cool. And you've got the monitors, and then 10 feet until the barrier, and then a barrier, and then there's just this guy like the whole time loving the gig. I was like, this guy's cool. And when we finished, he'd been shouting something the whole gig. And when we finished up and we packed up and kind of came around to flog some merch, he runs up to me and he's just going, Paul Gilbert, Paul Gilbert, Paul Gilbert, Paul Gilbert. And I was like, yeah, Paul Gilbert's really cool. I like Paul Gilbert. He was like, no, Paul Gilbert. And I was like, what is this guy? And then he spoke French, so he's French Swiss. We were in the French part of Switzerland, and the guy who was minding us there said something to him in French, and he translated for us. He's saying, no, he's saying that you remind him of Paul Gilbert. And then he wanted a pick, and I didn't have any ragdoll picks, so this poor guy just has this random Jazz 3 from me somewhere in Switzerland. So went to MI with Paul. Oh, that's cool. What do you think about the Line 6 Pod Go? I think that looks like it's an absolute winner for a lot of reasons. And I would totally try one. It might be a really good backup solution. Takes a lot of, from what I understand, it's kind of just like a Helix without a few things that most people probably don't need, and a set signal path, which a lot of people are going to enjoy. I just like that it's a pod. Bring the pod back, man. Some of my wish list amps for the Axe FX 3. I do have WAV files. Why isn't Dropbox opening for me? I need to open that up. I'll get this going in the background, and I'll copy this link. Ah, here it is. So we're talking about WAV files. Let's find my IRs, Axe FX 3 cabs, main cabs. There's only a few in here, but yes. Let's copy the link. Okay, guys, if you want my 3 IRs that I use all the time, that I have shot of my real world cabs that I record stuff with, they're in there. Go and get them. So these are the stock pickups in here, which I think are just called SC245s. This guitar's from 2008. Can you see all the filth on here as well? I haven't cleaned this yet. The acoustic playing. Yeah, I just try to be Al Di Meola. That's my guilty pleasure. The Friday Night in San Francisco guitar trio album. Best thing ever. Best thing in the universe. And I just had to record some acoustic guitars for a friend's project. It's like a metal thing, but there's this like flamenco breakdown thing in there, and I had to play that, and that's like the hardest thing I've ever had to record because I can't play that stuff properly. And yeah. Do you like Gibson these days? I play a Gibson. The guitars and the business are slightly different things, so what they're doing business-wise, I'm not involved with them in any way, so I'm a guy sitting in his room live streaming on YouTube. I don't know how to run a guitar business. Apparently they think they do, so anyway. We had somebody a few years ago come out to a show and give us a bunch of metal picks. Probably got them somewhere, but I didn't like them. I disliked the attack, I think. Anyway, Tyler, you asked me about amps coming to the Axe FX. Well, we just got the Triple Crown, which is pretty rad. Axe Edit has an update. Cool. I'll update that. Where's this TC? Here's my big 4 head, my big 5 head, as it likes to be called. Yes, here we go. So this is the Triple Crown. This is a sound I dialed in for kind of like a smoother lead thing. So you can do the rock thing, but it does that kind of smooth stuff. Very nice as well. Let's update Axe Edit while we're here. Good on bass. Yeah, that was interesting. We had a guy, that was in Houston, from memory. He came down to interview us, but he either made metal picks or his friend made metal picks. He just gave us a bunch of them, but they were on a necklace. Yeah, I remember not liking them on guitar, but there we go. Raffo on bass. The Axe FX has a lot of Friedman amps. Yeah, it's got the Pliny kind of touch to it, which I don't have, but Pliny does it. pretty rad. I really like that. Where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at? All right, I got to open access again. So, amps. Look, I'm dying for 2 amps to be added in there. The JCM 2000 DSL, even if it's just the red channel, because I've used that amp so much. And of course, the 80A MP1. It's an injustice that there's a tri-axis in there, but there's not an MP1. And I know Fractal own an MP1. I just want them to chuck it in. But having said that, if you use... There's an amp model in there called Big Hair. And if you... What do? You change the tone stack frequency to like 600 hertz. And then it sounds exactly like the MP1. So we've kind of already got that in there. But the DSL would be sick. You can kind of get close with the Friedman amps. Let's see. Where's my set of Friedman presets? Do I have to refresh this or something? No. So yeah, there's a BE, the HBE, and the Dirty Shirley in there. Let's hear. This is, what one's this? Friedman BEC45. And that with a boost in front is pretty sweet. I'm trying to learn the solo from Rainbow in the Rose. Then he does this. And he gets the whammy. And then there's a fast run, which I'm not sure what he's doing. The whole red beach tapping thing. However he does it. Which is kind of cool. If you can do it, which I can't. So yeah, that's a Friedman. What do I use? This is my live preset anyway. It's a Mark series amp. Turn it up a bit. Oh, I love that attack. Ugh. And then the lead. Plenty of juice on that one. That's really, really nice. Where are we at? Yeah, ask Ryan some questions. Liam, doesn't Ryan often plug into your Axe 3? Does the FM3 allow for multiple instruments inputs? I'll show you his bass sound in the Axe FX3 because I have his bass here. I just need to reroute a few things. This is such a good sounding bass, by the way. It's, yeah, it just works. So let's do this. I'll swap some. Oh God, this is gonna be loud. So this is the sound. I'm using the SVT model and a cab, and then there is the Dark Glass B7K model in there. But I use that with a tone match block, and we just tone match these Sans amps. So it sounds like a Sans amp running into an SVT. Whoa, that is way, the level's coming out way too hot there. Probably because I swapped those inputs. Let's try that. Cool. Yeah. So it's pretty beefy. There's a bit of crunch on there. Man, this is yeah, this plays nice, but at the same time it's big. I don't know what I'm doing on this thing. So yeah, that's what he normally does, but it's essentially, we just took the way he sets his Sans amp up and we copied that as closely as we could. So rather, because we didn't have the Axe FX 3, we just used the Sans amp because it's small, convenient, and Ryan's been using that since 2012. When first time we toured the States, he was like, I'm not going to buy an amp, I'm just going to go direct with a Sans amp. And we were all like, you're insane. And we finally all caught up with him because he was way ahead of the curve. And he's a smart man, a very smart man. Actually, there's something, I kept butchering the solo in that song. I need to work on that, so I'll show you guys how I do that. How to run through Sans amp, still all DI. Yeah, it's sick. What's he say? Fight bass. What adjustments do you have to do to show with your Axe FX? It's at the level now where I don't adjust anything because we've dialed everything in. I have gig patches that probably don't sound as good here as they do live, and then I have home patches just to compensate for the massive volume difference. So yeah, I don't really tweak that much except for like the high cuts. I roll out a lot more high end. Sorry, I got cat hair all over me. I roll out a lot more high end live, but I do that in the cab block. So it's not as there's not as much sizzle in there because you have cymbals, and I roll out a little bit more low end because there's, as you heard, there's that gigantic bass sound doing a lot of the work in there. So all right, yeah, I need to practice this song. So show you guys how I do that. All right. Oh, sorry, I have a message from a friend. Whoa. That's amazing. One of my friends is getting married. Cool. That's exciting. I won't tell you who because I don't think they want anyone to know about it, but one sec. All right. Cool. Yeah, that's it. Some exciting news. Where are we? Where are we in the chat? Practicing a solo. Yes, that's right. So I need to bring this up because I'll show you what I've been doing. There's a lick. That's the lick, and it's hard, and I just went like this too many times. Or I just did rubbish. So I'm going to bring the song up. And YouTube has this wonderful thing. It's weird listening to my own song on YouTube, I know. But it has this wonderful thing where you can slow stuff down. And the 75% thing is very, very handy. Where's the solo at? Ah. the amount of slide. That's so the idea here is in this section there's a diminished seventh thing. Then there is a D dominant. Oh, I guess it sounds like C because I'm now in drop C, but the idea would be these notes. That's just a dominant seventh shape. Why didn't I play the major third there? That would have kind of been cool. Yeah, okay, that's a thing. Maybe I'm going to play that from now on. What am I doing? I'm totally brain farted there. Let's see. There's there's a good rule of thumb I find that if I want to make sure that I can do something live, that I have to play it a lot faster, and that 25% faster thing is really good there. Anyway, where are we at? Great, here we can start. Yeah, exactly. You know, as time goes on and we our farts get worse and our playing gets slower. Someone has left the chat. Well, there's some funny stuff happening here. Oh, yeah, just replace band. Yeah, that Jackson bass is pretty nice, man. It's funny. It's so funny to me that, you know, it was like 10 years ago that popped up on eBay. And it's like, oi, Kip Winger bass. And he was like, buying it. Yeah. And 10 years later, there we are with Kip Winger, where it's like, oi, Kip, check it out. We got one of your basses. And he goes, oh, wow, I don't even have one of those because, you know, it got stolen. So Ryan offered to give it to him, but he couldn't take it back on the plane. So he signed it instead. Nice guy. That's the lick that's doing me. So a fun little thing there. Most of this solo is Phrygian dominant, like. But there's a flat 5 in there, which makes it sound like Lydian dominant, which is super cool. At that really critical point in the solo where it, I could have done this, but it just makes it sound so much more tense and aggravated, and then you get the, and then the, it's probably the most like written solo that I've ever done that I've ever put together, because I kind of wrote it, which I never do. I normally just kind of fire it up and rip over there. So yeah, exactly. And like when you listen to it in that context of the song, so what I wanted to do with that solo is to make it kind of shift it all and really make it sound dark. So starts with the Phrygian dominant thing. that's pretty standard. And the section before it is using the same kind of note. So it's just kind of rolling with that there. Then there's this lick. And if you know how to play the solo in Holy Wars, no, not Holy Wars, Tornado, not Tornado, so it was the other one, Hangar 18, that the whole section after the main bit in that song, then that lick lifted straight from that, very much inspired by Marty Friedman on this. Then there's so that's a little hint where it gets dark. Then this lick. Munted. And then the diminished thing. Then the dominant thing. And the nice thing is that the first note that I try to play, it goes. So you have that fifth motion thing in there. So, yeah, exactly that. You can hit some microtones in there with this stuff as well and make it sound really cool. The other challenge with this song as well is I have to go. Then I have to time. I got to press on my rhythm patch so that I can go. So that it doesn't have delay on it. Yeah, Phrygian dominant rules, man. It's so satisfying in the kind of rock metal context we all enjoy as well. So throwing in a flat 5 here or there, or some of those. Microtones is really, really nice. You know, once they turn the Wi-Fi on my forehead, as I like to call it. There's some questions I missed here. How you guys highlight my name? Oh yeah, you put the at they've talked about. What role did your father play in your musical interests in formative years? Well, he introduced me to all the music that I started listening to. So he used to just come in like once a week and be like, "Here's a Deep Purple album. Here's a Molly Hatchet album. Here's all this." So yeah, direct, massive, probably the biggest musical influence for the first 10 years that I played guitar. So a little bit important. I'm reading Ryan's comment, Ragdoll's bass player. Ah, yeah. So we got asked this question so many times on this tour as well. It's like, how did the band start? Because we've been doing this for probably, it's at the point where I'm just saying 10 years now. It's not quite 10 years, but it's going to be there very soon. And yeah, we started as a 5-piece. The guy who was playing bass at the time, Mike, great bass player, monster musician. I want to bring up some music that he wrote because I think you guys will like it. Yeah, here we go. Where's the first? I'm going to put this in the chat for you guys. All right, so this is Mike, the bass player we're talking about. This is his band. Yeah, my dad still plays. My dad still rocks out. He's got an Axe FX Ultra. I'm actually going to... I know he's not watching this because he doesn't do the internet, but I'm going to give him my AX8. On this one, the auditory thing, it's Zeke from Mammal and Full Scale. They got him in to do it, so it sounds pretty sick. That's right, Ezekiel. I forget what his project is at the moment. But Mammal were a really fun band. Full Scale, that was a band he was in. Yeah, they were they were the forerunner to your carnivals and your circuses, and very important band in the context of Australian heavy music. Where do you go to order a ragdoll shirt? Ah, yes, we need to put those up. I need to take a photo of them, and I need to put them on our Bandcamp store. So, I'll put them up after this, actually. So at some point today, they'll be online, and we do have a few. We do have a few things. We have the glow-in-the-dark shirts, which is what everybody has been talking about, and it's really cool seeing people wearing them at a show, and like you see these little green glowing things. They turn out really, really good. Forget the mob in Melbourne that made them for us, but money well spent, I think. All right, where are we at in Moose Chat? Do you guys want to hear anything or see anything, or just, you know, as always, let me know. Let me know, and we'll do some stuff. I should probably bugger off in 10 minutes or something, so. All right. Oh, we also have a Teespring store as well. I got to put that Vegemite logo up on there. That's like a print to order thing. So I'll also try and get that done today. The yellow guitar is an Ibanez RG550. Because what guitar do you get when you want a gem, but you don't want a gem? Oh! Best color ever, in my opinion. Oi, oi, that's a little bit out. Just a little bit. I'm not a Floyd guy, so this always feels super alien to me. Yeah, this is, I mean, man, this is the look and the sound of a generation, isn't it? It's really easy to do the Gilbert stuff on. It's total Whitesnake territory as well, isn't it? Oi! It's Definitely, probably needs a new set of strings. I don't know the last time I changed the strings on this thing. Yeah, this guitar needs a little bit of love. I should probably check all the wiring and things like that as well, because I remember it being a little bit intermittent. Where's my Mark IV over the top Sykes kind of thing? What I want to do with this is I want to put some pitch detune on all of this and make it sound like the 80s. Yeah, a bit of dual detune. This will do us just fine. This is going to sound sick. That's a thing, isn't it? Yeah, God, George Lynch is good at guitar. Still is. Where are we at in the chat? How about an 80 MP2? My buddy Troy has an MP2, but it's not working from what I understand. What would you say is the best option for modeling on a tight budget? Either a Mua G200 if you're not gigging, but if you are gigging, an Atomic Amplifier 3 or 6, in my opinion. They're my favorites, just in terms of the amp modeling. Yeah, with the... Another really cool shredder guitar. This is... So I like this guitar. But this is the one. This is my dream shred machine. This is a Hamer Californian, and I bought this in Fort Worth in 2012. I walked into a music store, and then this was hanging up, and I was like, man, I have to have that. So I wonder what tuning it's in. Okay, I'm guessing down a half step. But I recently had it refretted with like jumbo stainless wires, so it should be good for like the rest of its life. And I have the Floyd blocked. This is a sick guitar. Hey. Oi! What did I just do? I bumped something way out of tune. The G string. Yeah, man, if you see one of these, an American-made Hamer Californian, it's the one. It's my favorite shred guitar from the 80s. The neck's amazing. The neck has 27 frets. Not that they work that well, but... I want to play some Dokken right now. That's exactly what I want to do. I'm so in a George Lynch mood at the moment. What's the song? Into the Fire. I always wanted to learn that one. Let's learn some Dokken. Sick. I think it's down a half step. It's like a weird in-between tuning. Interesting. Da, na, 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 na. This is a sick song. I wonder if that's because it's been ripped from tape. That's kind of messed with the tuning or something. In my dreams, this is what I saw that. George, you beast. Untouchable. Untouchable. Yeah, it's kind of flat, but not fully flat. Probably like the Dimebag thing. You're getting a 39 fret Falbo? That's ridiculous. Rafferty's going to get a sore neck. Oh, yeah. I always thought that lick was tapped, and then watching George play it, it's like, no, he's picking that. Just an E minor, C major, so. But yeah, he's. string really doesn't want to stay in tune. And, you know, it's easier with delay. That's it. That's it. That's kind of how you play that solo. Whatever he does. I love that he's wearing one leather glove on his picking hand in that video. That's amazing. Go George. All right, who's your daddy? Be safe. I'm probably going to bugger off in a second as well. So yeah, there you go. If you want to practice some rad stuff. That lick, 12, 15, 19, kids. Now, this hammer is nice to play. I dig it. Some Randy Rhoads. Do you guys want to hear me butcher the Mr. Crowley solo? Because I can do that for you. I really like the live version of that, actually. The tribute version, that's the one. That's my favorite.